प्रातः समय की शुभ बेला में, प्रातः समय की शुभ बेला में, संध्या समय की पुलकित रजनी, संध्या समय की पुलकित रजनी, रोम रोम से निकले तेरे, रोम रोम से निकले तेरे, राम जपा कर, राम जपा कर, राम जपा कर, राम जपा कर, चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर, चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर। गहरा सागर टूटी नैया, टूटी नैया, सागर गहरा, गहरा सागर टूटी नैया, जीवन तरनी राम खिवैया, जीवन तरनी राम खिवैया, पार करेंगे राम जपा कर, पार करेंगे राम जपा कर, पार करेंगे राम जपा कर, पार करेंगे राम राम राम, राम जपा कर, राम जपा कर, राम जपा कर, पार करेंगे राम जपा कर, 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 चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर, चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर। सार तत्व की खोज किए जा, खोज किए जा, खोज किए जा, तत्व की खोज किए जा, सार तत्व की खोज किए जा, सार तत्व की खोज किए जा, प्रेम सरस रस रोज पिए जा, प्रेम सरस रस रोज पिए जा, पार करेंगे राम जपा कर, पार करेंगे राम जपा कर, 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 चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर, चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर, पल पल छिन छिन घड़ी घड़ी निस दिन, पल पल छिन छिन घड़ी घड़ी निस दिन, राम जपा कर, राम जपा कर, राम जपा कर, पल पल राम जपा कर, छिन छिन राम जपा कर, घड़ी घड़ी राम जपा कर, निस दिन राम जपा कर, पल पल छिन छिन घड़ी घड़ी निस दिन राम जपा कर, 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 चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर, चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर, चंचल मन नित राम जपा कर, राम जपा कर, राम जपा कर, राम जपा कर, राम जपा कर।
Hari Om. Just a few announcements before Guruji's talk. If anyone is facing any technical issues, please, during the session, please post your concerns on the WhatsApp Satsang group. Your concerns will be answered there. All those who are not yet members on the Satsang group and would like to be included in it, please WhatsApp your name and mobile number to Jaya at 8008572525. Again, that's Jaya at 8008572525, or Raji at 9848063131. I repeat again, 9848063131. May I also request all of you to activate your videos so we are able to participate in a virtual satsang. I repeat, please activate your video cameras during the session. Hari Om. Thank you very much.
Hari Om. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Right. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We shall chant verses 21 to 30 of Bhaja Govindam. Can you all see the verses? Okay. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jathare shayanam, iha samsare, bahudustare, kripaya pare, pahi murare. रथ्याचर्पट विरचितकण्ठः पुण्या पुण्यविवर्जितपन्थः योगी योगनि योजितचेतो रमते बालोन्मत्तवदेव कस्त्वं कोऽहं कुत आयातः कामे जननी को मे तातः इति परिभावय सर्वमसारं विश्वं त्यक्त्वा स्वप्नविचारम् त्वयि मयि चान्य त्रयिको विष्णुः व्यर्थं कोऽप्यसि मयि सहिष्णुः भवसमचित्तः सर्वत्र त्वं वाञ्छस्य चिराद्यदि विष्णु त्वम् शत्रौ मित्रे पुत्रे बन्धौ मा कुरु यत्नं विग्रहसन्धौ सर्वस्मिन्नपि पश्यात्मानं सर्वत्रोत्सृज भेदाज्ञानम् कामं क्रोधं लोभं मोहं त्यक्त्वात्मानं पश्यति सोऽहम् आत्मज्ञानविहीना मूढा ते पच्यन्ते नरकनिगूढा गेयं गीता नाम सहस्रं ध्येयं श्रीपति रूपमजस्रं नेयं सज्जन संगे चेत्तं देयं दीनज नाय च वेत्तम् सुखता क्रियते रामाभोगः पश्चादन्तश रीरे रोगः यद्यपि लोके मरणं शरणं तदपि न मुञ्चति पापाचरणम् अर्थमनर्थं भावय नित्यं नास्ति ततः सुख लेशसत्यं पुत्रादपि धन भाजां भीतिः सर्वत्रैषा विहिता रीतिः प्राणायामं प्रत्याहारं नित्यानित्यविवेकविचारं जाप्यसमेतसमाधिविधानं कुर्ववधानं महदवधानम् गुरुचरणाम्बुज निर्भरभक्तः संसाराद्यचिराद्भवमुक्तः सेन्द्रियमानस नियमादेवं द्रक्ष्यसि निजहृदयस्थं देवं भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते सम्प्राप्ते सन् निहिते काले नहि नहि रक्षति दुःकृन्करणे नहि नहि रक्षति दुःकृन्करणे नहि नहि रक्षति दुःकृन्करणे. Warm welcome to those who are joining us today for the first time. I'm just being told to give this small advice to you all. There is this facility that you all could switch to a speaker's view, whereby you would have the pleasure of magnifying the speaker. As myself, you'll have the whole screen rather than seeing the grid view of all the participants. It would be less distracting for you. But however, if you choose to see everyone and not get bored of seeing me, choice is yours. All right. So, but I am seeing all of you, all lovely people. So nice. You all are able to join us, those who are coming for the first time today. I would also request those of you who haven't activated your camera, if you are in a position to do so, please do, because I always would like to have a view of the audience so that you're able to communicate yourself better. That's my humble request. But for those who are not able to, I completely respect your reason. Just to bring you to the context, we have started this session, the Bhaja Govindam classes, a few months ago. It's a small text. It's a beautiful text. It's a text which has great relevance to our lives today. And the only beauty of this text is that each verse is a standalone gem. So it doesn't necessitate that you have to follow what was said. So as long as you have a general understanding of the philosophy, you should be able to have a glimpse or an insight into this great wisdom conveyed by the great Adi Shankaracharya. Now, we have done verse 22 last week, but however, I would like to sail you through the 21st verse as well quickly as possible, so that you just have, you can take a note of the wonderful message given there. Now, the very, very famous verse, 21st verse, let's chant it. I know most of you would know it by heart. You have heard it through various spiritual gurus. It's a very oft quoted. Let's chant it once and I'll give you a brief insight into what that verse was saying. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jathare shayanam, iha samsare, bahudustare, kripaya pare, pahi murare. So the 21st verse clearly says that you're one again and again lying in the mother's womb, birth, taking birth, again death. This samsara, this terrestrial entanglement is unending, and it's hard, it's rather difficult to cross over. O Murare, please save us through thy grace. So repeated birth, repeated death, repeatedly born in the mother's womb, this samsara. So the perspective, as I did mention, the beautiful concept conveyed in Bhaja Govindam is to, in fact, for that matter, the perception what every spiritual practitioner wants to gain is to look at life from a different perspective. Here we are trying to gain the perception of the great masters. So what is the perception of the great masters? How do they look at life. And in order to gain that perception of the Mahatmas, it's indeed one practices what is known as upasana. Upasana is trying to sit near. Upa means sitting. Asana is sitting. Upa means near. So upasana means you sit near a master to gain that vision, that perception. So what is the perception of Mahatmas to this cycle of birth and death? So they are saying this repeatedly being born into the cycle of birth and death, this samsara. Samsara means terrestrial entanglement, terrestrial bondage. This bondage is unending, he says. It's rather difficult to cross over. So all of us don't realize it, but a human birth is said that it is the highest of all births of any living being. So to be born as a human being, one has done a lot to come to this birth as a human being. Now, having come here, not to justify, not to fulfill the purpose for which a human birth is meant for. And that's what they're complaining. If you're not able to justify and fulfill the purpose for which a human birth is meant for, they say it is a mahati vinashti. It's a great loss and a human purpose. And anyone amongst us have a clear perception as to what the human purpose is. My prostrations to them, my salutations to them, because a very small percentage of the humanity are very clear as to what is their purpose of life. And from the understanding of the Shastras and this Vedantic wisdom, all what we are told, the purpose of human life is to get back to yourself, is to know who you are, is to know what I am, is to realize yourself. And if that were be the benchmark, if that were be the backdrop, if that what is the purpose of human life, the mass of humanity have lost their focus. And to that he says, repeated birth, repeated death, repeatedly being born into the mother's womb. This bondage is very difficult to cross over. So he's saying it's not easy to get over the cycle of birth and death. And for some of you may understand, why is it that there is bound to be a birth after death? Now, he is so sure. See, these great masters are very sure. But you and I may ask this question, how do you say that there is a certainty that there is birth after this death? How do you say with certainty? If you ask me, sir, can you please prove it to me that certainly there is birth after death? I would say, sir, please don't ask me those questions and put me a spot of bother. I don't have answers for that. I'm only trying to explain what these great Mahatmas, great texts are saying. But they are saying with certain certainty. They are saying with certain conviction, with a great clarity. And in order to understand and decode that statement, you'll have to perhaps go a little deeper. You'll have to go a little further into the deeper concepts, the deeper philosophies that support that argument. Now, I can't afford to get into the detail of it, but because he says it so with such clarity that there is bound to be birth after death. In fact, even in other schools of thought, in Western schools of thought, even Shakespeare puts it very beautifully. If you know that famous quote, all the world is a stage and all men and women are mere players. And at the end of it, he says, they have their exits and entrances. Have you ever noticed that specific clause or the way he puts it? He says they have their exits and entrances. He doesn't say entrances and exits. Why does he say they have their exit and entrance? Means he is only trying to convey a very powerful message indirectly that there's bound to be a continuity. And this concept, anything that cannot be proven, is known as a theory. In fact, Vedanta, I hope you all are following me. If I can request you all to raise your hands of those who are on your camera. Okay, you all with me? Everything is clear? Okay, please forgive us for any shortcomings because we have just switched to a new platform, the Zoom which you're all on. It is very new to me. So I'm just trying to make sure that we are able to reach you all and you're able to follow us clearly. All right, so please forgive us if there's any technical difficulty, if there's any hiccup, please bear with us. All right, glad it's all going well. As I've said, the concept of reincarnation, and the only concept, you will be very happy to note, the only concept of reincarnation is known as a theory. In the entire Vedantic study, the only concept is known as theory of reincarnation. Everything else in Vedanta is nothing but a law of life. Vedanta is a science, is a subject matter which deals with the laws which governs human life. Just as science deals with the laws which governs the world, there are various laws, aren't they? There's the physical laws, the chemical laws, the biological laws, the physiological laws, etc., etc., etc. You put all them together. Science is a manual which gives you all the laws which govern life, which govern the world. Vedanta is a manual which gives all the laws which govern a human life. And only exception to that is the theory of reincarnation. It is not a law because no Mahatma, however profound his wisdom, he can't prove it to you. Can he? I can't prove it to you. So don't question me. But yet that theory is based on sound logic and reason. It is based on a law. So the theory of reincarnation is based on a law known as law of causation. I would appreciate you all take a note or two because this is very, very important for you to understand the larger picture. So there is this law of causation which supports the theory of reincarnation. You can't understand the theory of reincarnation without understanding the law of causation. Now, what does the law of causation say? The law of causation says everything in life has a cause and effect, my dear. That's all they say. Everything happens with a reason. If there is a particular effect, that means there is a particular cause. Sometimes I used to experience this. Come summer, and you get the lovely fruit of mangoes, and we just crossed the season. Hopefully monsoon has set in. And when the summer comes, along with it comes the lovely mangoes, and I don't openly confess my weaknesses, but that's one of my weaknesses. Please don't tell anyone. Huh? My weakness is mangoes. So I eagerly look forward 9 months. When is the summer going to come? And when are the lovely mangoes that I'm going to enjoy? And when they come and when people with love give those mangoes to you, it is difficult to practice that little self-control, which I'm very poetic. Whenever I lecture, I talk about self-control, but it is very difficult to control that desire for mangoes. I'm confessing. So I many a time fall there. But let's say when you had a mango a little more than what you should have, suddenly you will find a blister because your body has overheated, isn't it? Your body is not used to it. And mangoes produce heat. And you have a pimple here or a blister there, and you feel certain symptoms. You may not know why it's happening. You're only enjoying the mango, but you don't understand the consequences of that. Now, if you are scientific in your thought, I have these symptoms because there is a certain cause. So the cause of that creates a certain effect, isn't it? Are you all with me? Now you go to the mental level. There are certain consequences. Every action has a certain consequence. Let's say I have a very difficult neighbor. I have a very intolerable neighbor who can't get along with me for whatever reason. However good am I, however kind am I, he has a reason not to get along with me. Now, what does that create in me? Perhaps it creates a certain emotions in me. I choose to entertain a certain emotion which may not be forgiving, which may not be accepting. Perhaps I get very annoyed, I get anger, I get into an emotion, and I start feeling a certain negative emotions in me. Now, if I entertain a negative emotion, what is the consequence of that? Now, I would want you all to use, there's a chat box. I suppose you all are very familiar. You all are very wise people, especially with certain technology. I know Zoom is something which is being going around, so everybody should be familiar. Now, I want you all to use the chat box. I actually would love to get engaged with you all, just to know where whether you're in with me, whether you understand, whether you follow what I'm saying. So if I entertain negative emotions, what is the consequence of that? So please, if you use the chat box, and if you can throw your comments, share what you think. Okay, I see one already started. Wonderful. Your negative would be pushed on to others around us. Very well. There's a cause and effect. I'm asking, what is the cause? The cause is I have a certain negativity towards my neighbor. I may not be able to express that emotion to him. Please understand that. If I do, I get into deeper trouble. There's only going to make things worse for us. But I have a negative feeling towards my neighbor. I'm just example, don't take literally, just an example. So if I have a negative emotion, what is the consequences? You lose your mental balance. Correct. I would really say your heartbeat increases. Yes, I immediately would say, can anybody check my blood pressure, blood sugar? Instantly they are fluctuating. I transmit negative vibration to others. It affects on your body. There will be an outburst. There's health. Wonderful. All what you're saying is there is a certain direct effect onto you, isn't it? And I like this comment. Take it on someone innocent. Your wife maybe. Now, no wife is innocent, please. I don't know what you're talking about. Sir, which planet are you coming from? Srimati Kannan. Oh, looks like you are the victim. But I don't think I have, no, I've also led a married life for the past 20 years. Now, I don't think my experience proves you completely wrong. No wife is innocent. In fact, no, let's not get into that. In fact, very soon I'm going to talk on a topic called relationships. So perhaps if you can come there, we will take it up. So, and I'm not in any way recommending or suggesting that there's anything wrong with the ladies out there or my wife. She's wonderful. It's nothing to do with anyone out there. Just on lighter note. So when you have, what I'm trying to convey is, you have a mango, the side effect is you have a blister, or there are certain physical side effects. You entertain a negative emotion, the instant side effect is it causes a mental imbalance in you. It causes a mental agitation. It disturbs you. It affects you. It causes a great trauma to you. So what am I trying to establish here? I want to understand whether you're following me. What am I trying to establish here? Again, please, you will be using the chat box a lot in this classroom. You please get used to it. I will talk 50% and I'll want you all to talk 50%. That's how it should be. Very good. I'm here talking about the law of causation, the law of cause and effect. In fact, the Newton's third law talks of the cause and effect. Now, everything in life, you go to the material level, at the physical level, the emotional level, the intellectual level, and the spiritual level, the law of karma works meticulously. Meticulously means meticulously. You can't escape this divine law. The divine law says you get what you deserve, and let that get completely immersed into us. The divine law says one gets what he or she deserves. How much ever you may not desire to go through that mental experience or that phase of life you're going through, but you get what you deserve. And that deserving is purely determined by your own actions of the past. I may not know what I have done to deserve it, but I get it because of my own actions. All right. So what I have been saying is the theory of reincarnation is based on the law of karma, which is the law of cause and effect. Now, even in our lives, doesn't it happen at times that even if people who believe in this law that I get what I deserve, would you not be scratching your head at times and say, hey, what have I done to deserve this? Huh? I have been very kind. I have been very helpful. I have done all the best I can to anyone at any possible time. But then why is life putting me through this? Wouldn't you ask such a question? Again, I want you all to, I think you'll be doing little yoga also in the class with me. So I'll be telling you to raise your right hand, and then again I'll say raise your left hand. So are you all agreeing with me? Do you all certainly agree that at times you feel, what have I done to deserve it? So what you must understand is life is very, very complex. It has multitudes of actions you're performing throughout the day, and every action has a cause and effect. And you must understand, even a mere thought has its own consequences. What thoughts you're entertaining throughout, what kind of emotions you're entertaining, everything has a consequence. Everything has a consequence. Please remember that. Now, when you move into the next birth, it gets more complicated. Now, first and foremost, why is a person born? What is the reason a person is born? Any idea? Everybody is born unfulfilled desires, vasanas, to evolve, to exhaust our vasanas. Yes, some of them who are saying are those who have been with the subject. So I'm fairly happy that they have been following the thought. So a human being is born with the only purpose of exhausting his vasanas. Vasanas, in a layman's term, if you're not familiar with the phrase or the concept, you must understand vasanas as nothing but desires. So every human is born to exhaust his vasanas. Now, a child is born, that sweet little innocent child. One child is born hale and healthy, another child is born unhealthy with some inherent disease or inherent imperfection or shortcoming. And one child is born into a very wealthy, opulent family. Another child is born literally on the streets. Haven't we heard during this testing times of COVID, and very touching, very disturbing, of these migrants who had no choice but to take extreme measures of just going back to reunite their families. And I heard one such touching story of a lady who had to deliver as she was walking on that highway. She took a long journey along with the husband on foot. She had to deliver on the highway. And right after the delivery, with a couple of hours break, the husband and the child continued to walk on the journey. Can you imagine that? Isn't that mind-boggling? Is it possible at all? And I heard that. So what has the child done to be born in such circumstances? One is the vasanas. Now, what determines your vasanas and your karmas? Means, what have you done? If your actions are good, you get certain rewards. If your actions are bad, you have certain rewards. So you remember, when a human being is born, he is born with these two factors. When your person dies, he leaves with these two factors. Interestingly so, when a human being is born, he only brings his vasanas or unfulfilled desires and the past karmas, means consequences of his past actions. This is what you carry forward. This is what you leave when you leave. So when you take forward, do you take your family along with you? Do you take your belongings along with you? Do you take your reputation along with you? Do you take all your knowledge and success and awards and applause along with you? Nothing. All you take along with you is your vasanas and your karmas. And this is what the law of causation does. It just connects your present to the future. The law of causation, what it does is it connects your past to the present and present to the future. If you want to go a little, I wouldn't want to go a little further because it might confuse you. What law of karma does, it connects your past to the present. It says you are what you are because of your past. I am what I am because of my past. If I am hale and healthy, because I have led a disciplined life. If I am unhealthy, is because I have led an undisciplined life, indisciplined life rather, isn't it? It is a sheer effect of my past to the present. And also it says, I am not only a product of the past, I'm also a producer of the future. It talks of what your future is. So tomorrow, what you are is going to be what I do from this moment onwards. All right. Now, the law of causation supports the law of, supports the theory of reincarnation. So why is a child born in a certain circumstance? What is the reason? They only do, in fact, Vedanta can be understood as a subject matter which does perfect auditing of accounts. So whatever happens at death is what is carried forward at birth. Please understand this. Whatever ends at death is carried forward at birth. I know we are all very uncomfortable and don't feel pleasant to talk about death, but I'm forced to talk about it because that's what the 21st verse says. So please forgive me if I'm talking on something which is touchy matter. Okay. Now, let's, for discussion's sake, let's say the roof collapses on me right now. Not on you, on me. My roof collapses on me. And that means the end. My life is the end, full stop, no comma, full stop. Now, if you ask me, sir, just 2 minutes before me leaving this embodiment, last breath, sir, have you fulfilled all your desires? Have you got anything unfulfilled left within you? I would say plenty of desires are there. I have been complaining. I keep philosophizing, but deep within me, I have many complaints. I have many desires. I have many this and that. So let's say at that point of death, what happens? Oh, there are so many desires, so many thought forces, so many wants. It is nothing but energy. There's a certain amount of energy which is unaccounted for, is unfulfilled, isn't it? Now you put this bundle of energy in the form of desires on one side. And now you go to the birth of a child. A child is born into a particular environment with a certain conditions, with certain situations. Now, what is it that could have prompted him to be born in that? And as the child grows, he starts exhibiting distinct qualities, isn't it? Where has that child got those talents from? Why is it that child born into a particular environment, good or bad? Why? What they're saying, they're only auditing the loss of vasanas or desires or energy at death to the gain of energy at birth. They are just doing a perfect auditing. Remember this, there is a perfect continuity. As the law says, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So nothing goes loss of whatever energy you have. It only says repeated birth, repeated death. You want to understand, it is very well supported by the law of causation, which supports the theory of reincarnation. So here he is saying, O Murare, O Lord, please save us through thy grace. It's only through your grace we will be able to get over this cycle of birth and death, because this samsara, this bondage, samsara is nothing but terrestrial entanglement. You get caught up in something. Samsara is not being born. Samsara is to get caught up in something. When you get caught up in something, don't we say, enna samsara ba? Other day with a couple of students, I had to just go and pick up some items. So one of the rare things we had to go to pick up shopping with all, as if we came from a different planet, gloves, mask, cap, this, we went at an hour where nobody was there, just going to the store, pick up whatever was required. And at the time we were paying the bills, I was telling, Rajima, you remember? This word we use, enna samsara, just to have a normal life, you need so many things. What samsara we are having? So samsara is used in a colloquial sense, but samsara literally means getting entangled or getting caught up in something. So that's the philosophical meaning. It is not that you should not go through with the routines of life. Whatever life demands you, please go through that. Whatever your obligations are, whatever your duties are, please go through that. You can have an obligation as a father, I as a teacher, you could be a student, you could be a mother, you could be a grandmother, you could be a managing director, you could be a member of a sports club, you could be a politician, you can be anything. It is not what you have to do, it's how you go about doing that makes you a master or a slave. Once you get into a slave of what you're doing, then you're caught up, then it is samsara, you can't get out of it. So since we are not able to get over this cycle of birth and death, which is repeating itself again and again, repeatedly, we're also seeking the grace of Lord Murare, means a divine grace to help us get over this cycle of birth and death. That was said in verse 21. And in 22, he talks of a person, he gives us the path to liberation. One who wears a shawl made of street rags, he says. Ratyacharpata virachita kantaha. Punya punya vivarjita pantaha. One who wears a rag made of, a shawl made of street rags. Means a person lives such a simple life. He's so simple, he's so down to earth. His purpose of life is he wants to serve. He lives with a maxim of wanting to give more to the society and take back very little. Now, are we living up to that standard? Are we living a life in that spirit to want to give more to the society and want to take as little as possible? So lives a life with such simplicity. That doesn't mean you can't have whatever you need, but the spirit is you want to give all the time. You are a giver rather than a taker. And then he says, whose path transcends the merit and demerit. Now here is something connected to what I just said a little earlier. The path of merit and demerit is what? When you perform good karma, you reap rewards of those good karmas in terms of punya. When you lead an unselfish life, when you live a life of service and sacrifice, you gain a reward, punya, merit, isn't it? In fact, somebody was sharing this morning to me. All the good work I've done has saved me. And that person is laughing when I say this, because things could have gone terribly wrong for her today, because she had a small trip and she injured herself, and she said it could have been much worse. I could have hurt myself more than what I have experienced or what I've gone through. And she said, thank God the punya I'm doing, or the good work, God's grace and Guru's blessing, everything is fine, so far so good. Thanks to you, Guruji. Something to that effect, she said. I don't know, how am I responsible for her getting less injured? I don't understand that, but she says it, I accept it, that's all. But what have I got to do with her suffering or her punya? No, everything is independent here. All are independent accounts. Please remember that. No connection here. Remember the story of, who was that? Valmiki? How many of you remember the story of Valmiki? Okay. Let's give the mic access to Indirama. Let me see if I can reach him. Would you want to share? 1 minute, let me figure it out how it's all done. The problem is they have made me the host. Now I'm almost like a ghost here, not knowing what's going on. Okay. Can somebody help me out with this, Indrama?
I think I can now.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful. Yes.
Yeah. I have heard of the story, but I'm not very sure of it. He was a robber, and yes, he tried to rob a saint. And who told him this mantra that he has to repeat till he comes back, and he kept repeating that Mara, 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 Ma, and it suddenly became drama, and he got enlightened, something like that. That's what I've heard.
Okay. Yeah, no, I appreciate. Maybe maybe I'll just mute your microphone, Ma.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, yes, so the story is Valmiki was none other than a dacoit, and his only source of, again, I've also heard maybe slightly different version. I'll just share what the story of the version I have heard of. He was known to make a livelihood by robbing passerbys. And one day there was a monk or a swami who was passing by, who had nothing with him. He was very simply dressed, perhaps like this man, he says, Adi Shankaracharya says, a man wearing a shawl with street rag, something very simple, down to earth. And then he went to rob him. And then he says, you can have all what I have, but I just want to have a question to you. Would you mind sparing a moment? And he instantly realized the wisdom of the wise man, and he said, yes, Swami, what have you got? Because the only person said, you can have all what I want. Everybody resisted, and I had to grab it from them. So that instantly made him take a pause and examine what he's doing. And he said, for whom are you doing all this, what you're doing? He said, obviously for my family. They are not far away, and I have to support them. And all what I do is, it makes a livelihood for them. And my family is well taken care of, because I'm getting bounty of late, because marriage season, the bounty increases, So he said, oh, wow, wonderful. But do you realize that what you're doing, what am I doing? I'm just supporting my family. He said, you are incurring certain consequences of what your actions are doing. Would you want to go back? I will wait for you. Just, you said, since your family is nearby, you just go back to them and ask the simple question. No doubt they're enjoying the fruits of what you're providing them, but would they be willing to share the consequences of your acts as well? Would they be willing to share the demerit, the papam you're doing? Would they be interested in sharing that as well? And he thought something, it's pertinent. He went back and he came back with a very dejected answer, that they said, please give us your rewards, but you keep your fruits. We're not interested in whatever you give us, the resources, but we're not interested in what you incur, what consequences you face. So remember, everyone is individualistic. And that moment, it dawned on him that I am responsible, accountable for my actions. Remember this. So the karma, which carried forward into the next birth, the punya, apunya. So he says, one who leads a path, who transcends punya and apunya, he lives a life of a path beyond the good and the bad. Now, it might get a little complicated. I would not go into the detail. Just understand that the Bhagavad Gita was actually given in between in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, in between the two armies, isn't it? Why was it given in between the two armies? Why was it given in between the two armies? There was an whole battlefield was there, but yet Krishna told Arjuna, bring the chariot between the two armies and I'm going to speak there. And the war was about to begin. It was a long battle they all prepared for. The battle was about to begin. And at that point, he says, please take the chariot between the two armies. I want to assess the assess the strengths of both the armies or whatnot. He said, I'll teach you that. It means that the knowledge of the self has got nothing to do with the punya or papa. Punya is the meritorious deeds or the virtuous actions or the virtuous people, which is symbolized by the Pandavas, or the vicious or the apunya or the demerit you get because of your selfish deeds. It has got nothing to do with them, symbolized by the Kauravas. So the Atman, or the path of realization, the path to Godhood, the path to self-unfoldment, is beyond the path of the good and the bad. It is nothing to do with selfish or unselfish. It is the path of the selfless. It is a royal path, the selfless path, the route in between, the route between, the road between the two extremities. So a man, for some of you, it may be very, what is he saying? I seem to be it seems to be flowing from me, but it doesn't resonate well with me. Don't worry. Please don't worry. At any time you don't follow, you don't understand anything, please feel free to, I don't know whether you can raise your hand or you can alert me. If you have anything to say, please comment, because as you are a little patient, as Shankaracharya says, Kurvavadhanam, Mahadhavadhanam, slow and steady, you will find that these concepts will slowly start sinking in, and you will all find great relevance of this text in your life. Great relevance. So they all are with a great purpose. They're all set with a purpose. So please bear with certain ideas or concepts, but you always have the freedom to clarify. So here he says, a path which transcends the good and the bad. And then he says, one who revels, whose mind is united with the self, revels just like a child or a madman. He says a spiritual man is like a child or like a madman. Means a child has no worries of the past, has no anxieties of the future, full of energy, bubbling with joy, enthusiasm, with full of fervor, full of fun and frolic. That's the life of a child, isn't it? It's full of mischief, like Lord Krishna, Bala Krishna. What was his life? Full of mischief and fun and laughter. So a spiritual man leads a life of service and sacrifice, which has so much of energy. He is not worried at all. No worries of his. He doesn't think of his livelihood. He doesn't think of his family. He is not thinking of himself. All his thoughts are to serve a larger cause. And when you live that kind of a life with no worry of yourself. In fact, if at all you have worry of others, how can you be of helpful to others? How you can serve others? Not really in the strict sense, but he has no thought of himself. A child is worry-free, isn't it? So he says a spiritual man becomes like a child, becomes like a madman. A madman also, he's in his own realm, his own world. So a realm which you and I have no access to. He lives and revels in that peace and bliss of the self. And also there's another comparison. A man of wisdom or a realized soul is often compared to Pishachavat. He also is said to be like a ghost. Now, that part I leave unanswered. Because if I have to lure you back to the next class, that question must be lingering. If everything I've answered, oh, he has answered everything, I'll not come back. So why is a spiritual man compared to a ghost? For those of you who are new, come back with an answer and we'll take it up. For those who already have heard it, they know it. But think, so a spiritual man is compared to a child, a madman, or a ghost. It means he is like a child, like a madman, like a ghost. Balavat, Unmattavat, Pishachavat. What means like. So these are the three comparisons. Just a thought, something to ponder over. Don't Google it because you'll not find an answer there. Huh? The quick solution, everything will Google. No, no Google will help you here. You've got to do internal Google. Little smarana, you think about it, perhaps you will get an answer. Okay. So let's get on with for verse 23. Can you all see the screen with the verse? Perfect. Kastvam koham kuta ayatah kame janani kome tatah iti paribhavaya sarvamasaram vishwam tyaktva swapna vicharam. Kastvam koham kuta ayatah kame janani kome tatah iti paribhavaya sarvamasaram vishwam tyaktva swapna vicharam. Now the translation, he says, Kastvam koham. Who are you? Who am I? Kuta ayataha. From where did I come? Kame janani. Who is my mother? Kome tataha. Who is my father? Don't go and ask your father and mother, are you my father, are you mother? Tight slap will get. Tight whack. Imagine if I go back to my parents and say, are you my mother? Because Bhaja Govindam Adi Shankaracharya says, go and ask, who is your father, who is your mother? Are you truly my father, mother? Don't transfer the trouble to me. The choice is yours. Please, it is only philosophical. And then he says, iti paribhavaya, thus inquire, paribhavaya, sarvamasaram. Sarvamasaram means inquire the all essenceless, asaram, having renounced the world as essenceless, vishwam tyaktva, having renounced the entire world as essenceless, swapna vicharam, as a dream born of your own imagination. What a beautiful verse, what a profound message here. Now I will hold for a few seconds, just take a snapshot or write down the translation so that you know what the verse is dealing with, so that I come back to the screen where we all can see each other clearly. Who are you? Who am I? Where did I come? Who is my father? Who is my mother? Iti paribhavaya, thus inquire, having renounced the entire world as essenceless as a dream born of imagination. All right. Now, can you all see the main screen again? Perfect. So, not bad, huh? I'm getting a hold of it. First time. So, thanks to all my gurus who has helped me. Perfect. So, it is seamless. Because I am illiterate with reference to all this. So few of them have come and helped me. So it's all worked well, wonders. Now, he's asking these questions which perhaps seems very fundamental. Fundamental to ask, who am I? Who are you? Where have I come from? Who is my father? Who is my mother? Now, on what basis do you choose your parentage? Are you able to get a sense of what I'm saying? In Vedantic parlance, in Vedantic circles, it is said, it is not the parents that choose the child, it is in fact the child that chooses the parentage. Amazing, baffling concept. It is the child that chooses the parentage. It is not the parents that choose the child. On what basis have you chosen the child? Who is your father? Who is your mother? Who am I? Who are you? Where did I come from? Why have I come here? As I've said, what is my purpose here? What is my sojourn? Where am I leading myself into? Not to ask these fundamental, pertinent questions talks of your ignorance, how you have taken life for granted, and how you have wasting an opportunity of a lifetime. That's all I'll say. Now then, some Shamji is saying the environment and people you need to complete your karma. Yeah, there is a very valid point. Okay. Tinkima is wanting to, okay. Yes, you have something to say. Can somebody unmute her? Is it possible? Yes, ma, 1 minute. I'm trying to give you the, okay. How do you unmute? Okay. I'm sorry, just.
Who should be unmuted? Unmuted?
Sham's iPhone.
Yeah. Yes, actually, that is, it always comes as Sham, and actually I'm Tinky. So when you read Sham, read it as Tinky.
Yes, yes, I know that. But why is it they've become dark? We can't see you at all.
There was just a thunder and lightning, and then we heard a loud clap, and the lights have gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'll go to the other room where there is some light.
But we can see you with the inner light, so don't worry.
Okay. That's so sweet.
Hmm.
So that was all I wanted to say, Guruji.
We didn't hear you, rather. You have to repeat what you wanted to say.
Okay, I typed a message then maybe. I just wanted to say when you see Sham, that means it's stinky. That's all.
Yes, no, I get that. But
You were asking, how does a child choose its parents or something like that. So to that I had replied. I don't know if you can hear me.
yeah, loud and
Yeah,
clear.
we are able.
Yeah, you're loud and clear.
Okay.
Yes. No, in fact,
They need that particular environment and those people in that family to complete that give and take or the karmic debts or their evolutionary growth, their spiritual growth, or to learn lessons that they need to learn, that they want to learn in this life.
yeah. Very true. No, we have heard you, Ma, very loud and clear. And in fact, your thoughts resonate with what the truth is. The truth is that, as I've said, it is the child that chooses the parentage. The child should be understood as the desire or the vasana. The parentage is the environment. You understand? That's what you need to understand. Is perhaps we'll get into it some other day. But what we are asking is, what is our purpose? Does it bother you? Does it I've mentioned this in my other classes. I've mentioned it elsewhere. One of the most significant, one of the most important experience or feeling for a spiritual person. Let me ask a question. Let me engage you all again. What is the most significant feeling a spiritual person should have? Now again, try to think in the context of what we are discussing. In pursuit of a spiritual seeker is in pursuit of the higher. Okay, in that context, what is the most important feeling? I'm consciously using the word feeling. It's not an experience, it's a feeling. What is the most important feeling a spiritual seeker should have? And it is that feeling that actually protects him and immunes him. All right, that's good. I'm getting inputs already. Sai says it is humility. It is love. Vijayama says it's love, compassion. Again repeated, Sithramanji says it is love. Now, please, you must try to bring you to the context of it. A spiritual practitioner is in serious pursuit of the higher. Spiritual practitioner is one who wants to seek the higher. He doesn't want to get lost in the samsara, we have just learned in the previous verse. So if he doesn't get lost in the samsara, which is material entanglement, what is that quality? What is that feeling? Not quality. What's that feeling should have? Surrender to God, detachment. Rajima says, I am not this. Equanimity. Not to have any feeling at all. A very good question. But obviously, isn't it like when I'm talking to you, I'm in a spiritual exercise. Should I not feel for what's going on now? Should I not feel for your thoughts? Should I not be considerate to accommodate you? Should there not be a dialogue between us? Isn't there a feeling? Or I should be dry and unconcerned and I just go about doing what I'm expected to do? Nay, it shouldn't be that way, isn't it? There has to be that feeling. You may not be driven. You don't become emotional, but you certainly have to feel. Vairagya, Shubhama says Vairagya, love towards God, objectivity, acceptance that all is for the best, beliefs of God existence, non-judgmental. Wonderful. Wow, so much variety I get from you. In fact, very, very interesting observations. In fact, I'll have to be very I would say, in fact, you're not wrong when you say all that, but perhaps one such quality, one such attribute, one such feeling that hits or strikes a chord in the context of it is, I'm sure if you had noted, somebody has typed a feeling of suffocation. The lady who is raising her hand, raise your hand. Raise your hand, you're wrong way. Give blessings to us. Bless me also. So that lady is, we call her Pradama Shishya, or rather she has given herself a title Pradama Shishya because she has been my student for over 20 odd years. 22 years or more than that. So undoubtedly, I'm not surprised she has got it, but glad you have presented it correctly. What is that quality which really is that trademark of a spiritual seeker? Is that feeling of suffocation. It might come as a strange concept for you all, but please be open to this thought. Please be a little receptive to this idea. Suffocation is that which really gives you a feeling of bondage. Just even by the word, only when you feel bound would you want to be liberated, isn't it? If there is no sense of bondage, if there's no sense of being tied up, how would you want to get freed? Imagine somebody comes and ties me down to this chair and to the fittings and furniture around me. And so firmly I'm tied up that I'm not even able to move my arms or limbs. So I've just become so rigid. And it's a matter of few moments I start feeling a certain uneasiness. I just want to get that freedom. I just want to break the shackles. I want to break that bondage. Just like all of us, I don't want to include myself. Most of people are feeling a sense of bondage tied up to your homes. Aren't you all? I want to have the freedom. I just want to go out and do my things. I just want to walk into a restaurant. I want to travel the world. I want to go to my office. I want to meet people. I want to go to a party. I want to do things. I've lost that freedom. Don't you feel a sense of suffocation? A sense of uneasiness because you're all bottled up. You all are tied up. You're all limited. You want freedom, isn't it? Now, exactly the same way, you want that spiritual freedom. You feel you're bound and suffocated to the limitations of this birth, suffocated, leading a life of merely acquiring and enjoying. Life is not just running behind acquisition, get what you want and enjoying what you want. Is that all life is? You may have one home, you will have 10 homes, you will have one business, you will have 10 enterprises, you can have 10 bank accounts overflowing with wealth. That doesn't matter. Does it matter? But as long as you don't feel suffocated, you will not grow. And a classic example is the great, I'll take two examples. First example is often quoted of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the great Ramakrishna. He says, if you were to push a person's head under the level of water, under the sheet of water, push him there and hold him there for a few seconds, not minute. Minute is too long. He will not be there thereafter to talk. You hold him there for a few seconds and ask him, what do you want? Is this a question to ask now? No, I'll ask you the priority. What is the most important thing? Your job, your bank balance, your family, your reputation, your social life, which is it you will choose from? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Please choose. Job, family, reputation, social life, etc. All these things. Choose one. What would you say? Pa, onnu venda. I don't want anything. Keep everything with you. Just give me this momentary breath I want. I just want this freedom. I just want to breathe that next oxygen into my lungs. I just want to supply that. I just want that. He feels a sense of suffocation, doesn't he? And in that spirit of suffocation, you are ready to let go of anything, aren't you? Exactly that spirit we are talking about. That spirit of lack of fascination for anything that the world has to offer. And you put that aside and say, my purpose is to get onto the self. You may have a family, you have belongings, you have a job, you have everything going your way. But your perception is, I don't want to be tied down and limited just to satisfy these mere purposes. My life is not just driven to this purpose alone, as you need food to eat, but you don't live to eat alone, aren't you? You need money to live, but you don't live for the sake of money, isn't it? You need to have a family life, but you don't live for the sake of a family, isn't it? Everything has a certain purpose, and that purpose seems insignificant compared to the grand purpose. What am I here for? And anyone who has questioned that, what am I here for? What is my purpose? From where have I come? Where am I going to go? What am I doing here? These questions have to be triggered. These are the questions of a spiritual seeker. He's not content with the mere external paraphernalia, all the external things. And this was one of the questions that sparked in the minds of the classic example. Who asked this question in history? He was not contented with all what life gave him, all what life presented him. He asked this question. Can you think who asked that question? Don't tell me you asked that question. I'm asking you all, not me. I'm asking who asked that question in history. Sri Hari Garu is answered rightly. The other people have gone little ahead of they're giving me the answer of the question. The other question which great Siddhartha found. Siddhartha was a young prince, wasn't he? Leading a life of a prince. He had everything. What is a life of a prince? You can't even imagine that royalty. And with all that he had, with everything that was going his way, he found a sense of suffocation. He felt uncomfortable in it. He just plunged into the unknown. And from there, you found a transformed Siddhartha, whom we all know as the great Buddha, the Gautama Buddha. And that Buddha is within you. Other day when I was having a beautiful little conversation with Tinkima, and I said, she really touched me with that one phrase. She said, the Buddha is within you. Didn't you say that, Ma? Raise your hand. Wonderful. So I've learned one thing other day from you. The Buddha is within me, isn't it? So that truth, that reality, that consciousness, that is the purpose of life. The purpose of life is to find out who am I. And the great masters have said this Vedic declaration, the aphorism, Tat Tvamasi, that thou art, you are that very truth, you know not, and that is the very purpose of life. And not to ask these questions. What questions? Who are you? Who am I? From where have I come? Who is my father? Who is my mother? Not to ask these questions. Who is it who doesn't ask these questions? The people who are caught up in the non-essentials of life, who have given importance to the external world. They have not given importance to themselves and the purpose of life. Those who have given importance to themselves will certainly ask these questions. But those who are interested in everything other than themselves, they're not interested. And having questioned, he says, does inquire, having renounced the entire world as a senseless, born of imagination. the later half of the second half of the verse, he says, you got to inquire. How do you inquire? Having renounced the entire world. Some people said vairagya. That's another beautiful and essential quality or a prerequisite of a spiritual person. You must have the dispassion, that vairagya, not to be able to speak eloquently, but do you have a little vairagya for the world, little disinterest? This is what we all grow up. We all grow spiritually, cultivating, emulating, wanting to embrace. This is what you and I must seek. So here he is giving us that quality of having renouncing the entire world as what he says, asaram. Beautiful word. Please try to get that phrase or that concept or the idea ingrained. The world is asaram, means essenceless. No substance. It has nothing so much that you fall for it, man. Why are you falling for it? It is essenceless. And then he says, you inquire. It is nothing but a world born of your imagination. Now, I will come back to this part of the text next week. Now, I've got into it. I tried to bring those who have joined in for the first time. I wanted to keep you in context to the verse and the text. So I've spent considerable time explaining 21 and 22. And 23 we already got into. I've explained the first half, and the second half I'll come back and take it. Now for some of you who are new, this is how we would be taking the journey in. What we want is that essential knowledge. What we want is that deeper message, the deeper honey, the deeper wisdom. It is not difficult for me to sail through as a storm and leave you with questions unanswered. So please mentally be prepared that you are coming into a session like this. There's going to be the style. There will be interaction. You will have doubts. That is integral part of learning, is to question. Please use this platform with great freedom to ask. If anything that has cropped from this session, prepare your answers. If you feel you can send in advance, send it to us in advance, or you can use the platform to ask your questions. So this is true learning. And I firmly believe in this process of learning. Education is to draw out. So the platform gives us, and I will give you all the freedom to engage. So come prepared, think over the questions, think over the concepts, and we'll come back sharp next week, Wednesdays, on the same platform at 6 p.m. For those of you who want to enjoy a little Carnatic music and little bhajans, you can join in at 5:30. Okay? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.